Hi everyone and welcome. FPLMattDay here. It's UEFA Champions League Match Week 3 live stream here. Not long till deadline. It's going to be a Wednesday morning here in Australia, which is Tuesday night in the UK, all the way up until kickoff. You can make your changes. On the stream tonight, I'm going to be going through all the fixtures. I'm going to give a player from each fixture. I'm going to go through my my captains for each night and pick some differentials as well. If you're new here, give the video a like, get the comments in on the YouTube, and give the channel a subscribe, and get all of your questions in ready for this match week. We'll be chatting wildcard as well. I think it might be time to hit the wildcard. I use my limitless in match week 2, and then the plan for me will be to wildcard for match week 3, already for match week 4, 5, and 6. So to start with, I will share screen and I'll get this week's fixtures up, and I'll go through the fixtures, and I'll pick a player that I like in each game, and then I will go through some differentials and then the captain options for each night, including a curveball option. And then if there's any questions that come in during the stream, I'll bring them up at the end. But feel free to chat in the comments, interact with the viewers. And yeah, let's chat some Champions League. I can't wait for this. Comments come in from Quinton Dunn. Welcome to the stream, mate. Yeah, I hope you're looking forward to another Champions League. Let me know what you're going to do to your team in the comments. Are you on a wild card? Are you going to use your transfers? Yeah, let me know. So let's share screen and let's get into this. See the last. We'll go through the. Let's go through match day 2 quickly. Let's quickly cover the results. So as you can see, not a good start for my side. Tottenham, we lost 2-0 at Sporting with 2 late goals. That was really disappointing. And I think there was a lot of people who were relying on the likes of Ivan Perisic, Harry Kane to deliver the goods, and they didn't. And then we had Inter Milan winning at Pilsen, which I think didn't bring any surprises. I think one of the biggest surprises was Lautaro Martinez didn't start, which we all thought he was going to. He didn't start. Brozovic, who was one of my differentials, did. He got 3 points. And then Denzel Dumfries got a huge score when he grabbed a goal and a clean sheet. So that was really good. I had him on my limitless that night. Then we saw Leverkusen 2, Atletico 0. I think that was another shock. Diaby and Anrich with the goals in that one, and Jeremy Frimpong with 2 assists. Then Bayern Barcelona, the big game of this night, 2-0. Bayern coming out. We had Myself there with the 3 bonus points, got himself an assist. He had a really good game. Robert Lewandowski did not score on his return to the Allianz. And then Frankfurt, this was a bit of a surprise. I think a lot of us were expecting Marseille to actually win this one, maybe 1-0 themselves. Obviously ended up losing the game, which keeps it interesting in that group. And then there was Liverpool-Ajax, 2-1 to Liverpool. Mo Salah got the goal, so those that actually went for Mo Salah ended up doing okay out of him in this one. The goal from Ajax was absolutely brilliant in that game, but Liverpool obviously got the win. Then we had Club Brugge. I think this was a bit of a shock result. No one expected 4-0 at Porto. Simon Mignolet with another clean sheet and 5 save points as well. And obviously the goal scorers were shared in this one. Then we had Milan 3, Zagreb 1. Giroud with another goal. Salamakers, he was one of my differentials, obviously ended up coming out with a goal, which was good. And then Shakhtar 1, Celtic 1. Another one of my differentials, Mudryk with a goal. I actually didn't go with him. I went for, I think it might have been Sudakov who got the assist. Or there was another player from Shakhtar I went with instead. Rangers 0, Napoli 3. Napoli winning that one comfortably. Politano with the 3 points and a goal. Chelsea 1-1. I think this was another sort of shock result. I don't think many people expected Salzburg to get the draw, but Raheem Sterling did deliver the goods. Then we had Real Madrid 2, Leipzig 0. Asensio and Valverde with the goals. Juve with a home defeat, haven't been travelling too well this season. David Neres with the winner and the 3 bonus points. We all remember him from Ajax in UCL Fantasy last season. And City 1-2-1. They actually were 1-0 down in this one. up until sort of the last 15 minutes. De Bruyne with all three. Haaland, of course, with a goal. And then we had a 0-0 draw between Copenhagen and Seville. Aussie Matt Ryan in goal for Copenhagen with the clean sheet and a couple of saves, which is good to see. And then Maccabi Haifa in Israel losing 3-1 against Paris. I know a lot of the clean sheets for Paris defenders were wiped, which was a shame. But Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe with a goal each. Messi also with an assist. But Mbappe gets the 3 bonus points in this one, which was good for my team. It saved my team. He was my captain on night 2. So that was the results from last time. A few surprises in there, but it was a really interesting round. So let's go to the fixtures and results. Let's bring up some of this week's matches, and we will go through them. There we go. Just had a comment come in from Quentin. He's tempted to wildcard. He needs to look at his team. Yeah, I need to actually look at my team. So I haven't activated yet, but I will activate. I will use it because I think these match week 3 fixtures, which I'll go through now, they match up with match week 4. So it's actually this match week 3. Match week 4 is literally just the reverse. So, and there's some really favourable fixtures which we will go through. Welcome to the stream. The goal difference. Obviously, no more wild card for me. I'm assuming you've used yours. Let me know in the comments if you've already used your wild card. I'm assuming you probably have. Maybe you must have used it in match week 2 then. If you must have the limitless then, because you can always use a limitless in this match week. It's a good one to use it. As you can see, Bayern Munich versus Pilsen, really good fixture for Bayern Munich on night 1. I think Leroy Sané is the man to have. He is my player pick for this match week. I think you have to have him in. If you're on a limitless, if you're on a wild card, 9.1 million, 2 goals in 2 in this Champions League. Have to put him in your team. So that's my pick from that game. The other 3:45 game is Marseille versus Sporting. I'm going to go with a Sporting player as my pick. I really like Gonçalves. Takes all their set pieces. Takes pens. It was absolutely unbelievable in UCL Fantasy last season. So I think you have to put him in your side if you want someone that's like a little bit different in a game that should be a pretty open game, a pretty even game. Then we've got Liverpool versus Rangers. There's a couple of really good options in this one. I'm really liking potentially Jota. I think Luis Diaz, because he did start on the bench as well on the weekend for Liverpool. I think he is the one that I would be looking at on a wild card. So he is one from this fixture who I really like. And then we've got Ajax versus Napoli in that group as well. I'm really liking Berghaus from Ajax in this one. I think he's a really good option. Although Napoli is a tough game. They're on form. They've won both of their games quite comfortably. And they're doing really well in Serie A as well. But Ajax at home, it's always a great night at the Amsterdam Arena on a Champions League night. Then we've got Porto versus Leverkusen. This should be another one where it's hard to pick who's actually going to do well in this game because Porto obviously lost 4-0 in their last game in the Champions League against Bruges, whereas Leverkusen ended up getting the win against Atletico Madrid. So this is going to be a really, really tough one to predict. You'd expect Porto maybe to bounce back. But again, yeah, because Leverkusen did lose 4-0 on the weekend to Bayern Munich, but then so do a lot of teams losing to Bayern Munich. I'm thinking I might go with maybe Frimpong again, I think. He got the 2 assists in the last game. He was subbed off at half-time against Bayern Munich on the weekend. So I think if I'm going to go for someone in this game, I'll go with Frimpong. He did get a couple of assists in the last match. And then we've got Bruges versus Atletico. But there's a lot of players to pick in this one, and you'd normally back Atletico Madrid. Bruges are on fire, though. 2 clean sheets in 2. Atletico aren't on the greatest form. They've obviously got this thing where they can't bring Griezmann on until the last 30 minutes or something ridiculous. So look, I'm going to back Mignolet again. I've backed him since match week 1. I'm going to back him again. I think Bruges might be able to pull a cheeky 1-0 win in this one. And then we've got Inter versus Barca. I think Lewandowski is the man to back. You kind of back him every single game that he plays in the Champions League, regardless of the fixture. I know he didn't score against Bayern last time, but I think this is a better fixture for Barcelona. And then the last game on night one, we've got Frankfurt versus Spurs. This is a really tough game for us. We need to win in Germany. Very tricky game. I'm going to back Harry Kane to get his first goal in the Champions League this season. I think he is the man, if you're on a limitless or you're on a wild card, to get in. So that's the first night of games. And then we've got the second night. We'll go to Leipzig versus Celtic. For this one, it is another tough one. Leipzig haven't started too well in the Champions League this season. I like Jota from Celtic. I really like him. But I think I'm going to go with Nkunku. I think this could be the game for him. This could be the match where, we start to see the Nkunku from last season from the Champions League. There is rumours that he's agreed to join Chelsea. I'm not sure if that's going to play too much on his mind, but I think Nkunku will be the one to pick in that game. So that's my favourite option in that one. And then I will go from the Salzburg-Zagreb game. Let's go with Saleh. He's a defender from Salzburg. He's pretty good with his ball recoveries. Could be a tight one. They could keep a clean sheet. So I'll go with Saleh in defence. And then moving on, we've got Chelsea versus AC Milan. This is a bit of a throwback from the old Champions League days. Obviously, AC Milan, winning the competition the second most times. Tough game for both sides. Like Chelsea, I think it could be potentially a bit of a banana skin. But I'll back Raheem Sterling. Scored it at home in the last Champions League game. He does like a big night in Europe, so I will go with Raheem Sterling in that one. And then Real Madrid versus Shakhtar. Shakhtar have started well in this Champions League as well, yet to lose. Benzema is back for Real Madrid. Did miss a penalty on the weekend in La Liga, so I'm going to back him to come back and be the man to pick from Real Madrid. Let's go to City versus Copenhagen. I'll just pick Haaland. I think he's a man in this game. Haaland, maybe De Bruyne as well. João Cancelo, I think just the usuals for Man City. So I'm liking those again. And this sort of fixture here, so you look at City versus Copenhagen. You look at Real Madrid versus Shakhtar, which is still a tough game. Bear in mind, say for example, so this is why I'm liking the wild card this match week, because Real Madrid, Shakhtar, Man City, Copenhagen, Juventus versus Maccabi Haifa. I know Juventus aren't doing as well this year. Frankfurt versus Spurs, Liverpool, Rangers, Bayern versus Pilsen. You will get these games now on a wild card, some really good home games for Liverpool, Bayern, Man City, and then you'll get the reverse fixtures. And these are probably, like, on paper, the easier fixtures for these teams in the group. Like, there is no easy game in the Champions League, but this is why I like the wild card now, because you get these good fixtures and then you literally just get the reverse. So you set yourself up quite nicely. And with Real Madrid against Shakhtar, the reverse game isn't actually being played in Ukraine. None of Shakhtar's home games this season in the Champions League are being played in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure they're being played maybe in Poland, I think, in Warsaw, obviously because of what's been going on in Ukraine. So effectively, you might not be not really getting a home game for Shakhtar in that one. Also, welcome to the stream, PSB. I've just seen your comment comes through about Haaland really, really scaring you after game week 9 in FPL. Do I think Haaland starts after playing the full 90 minutes versus United? You know what? I think he does start, but I just think Pep manages him. I think Haaland starts, gets his goal, 2 goals or whatever he gets, and then they just manage his minutes, bring him off. Same against Southampton in FPL. I know that's a different pod and a different comp, but if you look at the amount of games and the volume of games from now until the World Cup, I think all the teams in the top 4 have 12 games in the space of less than 6 weeks, 2 games a week. I know City have one less because the Arsenal City game's been called off in the Premier League, but there's going to be rotation. They're going to look to win these games early and make subs and take advantage of being able to make more subs. So yeah, I think Haaland will definitely play. But I think, if the game's done after 60 minutes, straight off. The other game in this group, we've got Seville versus Dortmund. Seville not having the best season, really struggling to find the net. I think from this one, it's got to be the defender Guerrero from Dortmund. He's now 4.6 million. He hauled in match week 1. He's got to be the man from this match week for Dortmund. And then Juventus versus Maccabi Haifa. I'm going to go with Kostic from Juve. So he actually scored on the weekend for Juve in Serie A. He assisted in the last match week of the Champions League for Juve. I know they lost to Benfica. But what's really interesting about Kostic is he's 5.5 million. He's rated as a defender. So he's classified as a defender in the game. But he's playing in a front three. So he's playing on the left-hand side of a front three. And we saw him for Frankfurt last year in the Europa League and how good he was and how dangerous he is. I think for me, okay, it's an underperforming Juve right now. But they did win on the weekend. He did play a part. He did score a goal. So I think Kostic is a really good pick on a limitless or a wild card for this game week. And then we'll end it with Benfica versus Paris. Tough game for Paris. Benfica always show up in Europe in the group stages, and then they just end up going out in the round of 16, normally to Liverpool. But this game is, there's a lot to choose from. I think Neymar, he's on absolute fire. You can't really go wrong with Neymar right now. So I'd probably back Neymar or Mbappe as a pick from this game on a limitless and a wild card. So that is all the fixtures. That's my players to watch from each fixture. I'll quickly see here if I can bring up my team. If I can. Let's go to games. Here we go, gaming. There you go. There's Leroy Sané. It looks like he's in the predicted team. Let's view my side. Look, at the moment, the wild card's not been triggered. The wild card will be triggered. Here's my team. Here's Lucas Moura. So here's my team without a wild card. So this is what I started with on match week 1. And to be fair, it's still not a bad squad. I've got Bergwijn there at home to Napoli on the bench. I've got a home game there. Kepa, who's going to play for Chelsea, playing at home. Reynildo with a good game for Atletico. Koulibaly, home game. Otamendi, home game, but it's against Paris. And Nkunku, who I mentioned. Gonçalves, who I mentioned. Marco Reus, great game against Seville. Benzema, Haaland, Lewandowski. Looking at this, I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking, does it need a wild card? Because Benzema, Haaland are going to stay in my team. I do want Harry Kane, but I do like Lewandowski. I'm liking that fixture for Royce. I'm liking that fixture for Nkunku. Although is Royce injured? I've heard Royce may be injured. I have to check. I guess I do really want Sané, and I feel like Sané could be too explosive to miss. So unless maybe there's a way I could get to Sané with 2 transfers, but that would probably mean downgrading one of the strikers. Someone like Bergwijn, it's still a good fixture. So this is going to be a tricky one. I still think I'll use the wild card because I think I need to take advantage of these fixtures. But I do think if I don't include the likes of Bergwijn, Gonçalves and Royce, Nkunku, I could still lose some points. So, very, very tricky one for me this week. So I'll stop sharing screen and I'm going to go through some differentials and some captains. We have had a comment come through from Telmo Suarez, or is it Telmo Soares? I think it's Suarez. Let me know if that's the right pronunciation. Sorry if I've got it wrong, mate. But he has asked, and I'm only saying that because I feel like Cedric that plays for Arsenal, they call him Cedric Suarez, and he's got the same surname as you. But he's asked me, hey, mate, I was thinking of Firmino as a differential. Do you think he won't be a starter? That's a good question. And the thing is, right, so with UCL, obviously, you've got the rolling deadline and you can make transfers all the way till deadline. But problem this year is there's been a lot of these 3:45 a.m. Australia time, which is, I think, 5:45 in the UK, sort of kickoffs, 5:45 p.m. European times. So those games will be played. There's been 2 of those. And then by the time the next games at night start, the lineups come out, and you kind of don't really get the team intel as much now. So I think he's a brilliant differential in terms of his ownership will be low. But I actually wouldn't pick him because I think there's too many good forwards. If you're on a wildcard or a limitless, there's too many other good forwards this week. And you could probably cover Liverpool with Luis Diaz, I think, in this game week. So personally, I would avoid Firmino. Look, he's looking great. He's looking on form when he does play for Liverpool. And he might get the start and do well. But I think, there's Benzema, there's Mbappe, there's Harry Kane. There's Haaland. There's just too many good striker options. And I think you can delve into that Liverpool midfield with Luis Diaz or even Salah if you're on a limitless, because he did score in the Champions League in the last game. So that's how I would play it. But let's go on to some differentials now and some captain picks. So I'm just going to pull out the players that I have picked, and we will go through them now. So these are going to be the captains for match week 3, night 1. So Leroy Sané, I think he is the captain for the first night. I think you can't look past him. Another option for the first night, if you don't have Sané, is Harry Kane. So I think they're the two best options on night 1. And then a curveball captain on night 1, I think Luis Diaz for Liverpool at home to Ajax. And then night 2, Haaland is the obvious one for Man City at home to Copenhagen. So if your captain fails on match week night 1, you can just rotate it to Haaland for night 2. Or Karim Benzema, home game against Shakhtar. He will look to get his first goals in the Champions League this season. So really liking him. So that's my captain rotation and my curveball for night 1 and then night 2. And my curveball, for night 2. I'm going to go with Guerrero, the Dortmund defender, at 4.6 million. He's playing away, but it's against a Seville side that's just in absolute turmoil at the moment. They can barely score a goal. They're really, really struggling. He's looking good for Dortmund. He's basically, an outer position defender playing as a midfielder or a third attacker almost. That's how high up the pitch that player is. So he is my curveball captain for the second night if you really want to try something different. And then these are my differentials. So let's go with the first night. So the first night I'm going to go with, so this is Musiala, 5% owned. Sorry, I've probably killed the pronunciation there, from Bayern Munich. But he got the 3 bonus points and 2 assists in the last game. He got 2 assists on the weekend for Bayern Munich. He is on absolute fire this season, 5% owned. And then Jota, 1% owned for Liverpool. I think if we get a bit of intel in the next 24 hours that he may start for Liverpool, I think he's a great pick at home to Rangers. This is a Rangers team that's let 7 goals in the last 2 Champions League fixtures. So that's my differentials on night 1. And then night 2, I'm going to go with Mukiele, 1% owned, defender from PSG. And I picked him because he had a great game for PSG on the weekend. And when I watched him, his ball recoveries were just phenomenal. And obviously that gives you extra points in this Champions League. Look, away to Benfica is a tough game. But I think for his price, he's about 4.5 to 4.6 mil. It's a bargain to get into that PSG defence. And then you get him for the next game if you're on a wild card. Also saves you money if you need a cheap defender. And then my last differential is the man that I mentioned when I went through the fixtures, Kostic at 1% owned. Crazy ownership. I know Juve haven't been doing well. But if you're on a wild card, you get Maccabi Haifa back-to-back games. He's a defender. He's 5.5 million, and he's playing as a forward. So he's a huge goal threat, and we know how good he is. So that's my differentials and my captains and my curveball captains. And as I mentioned earlier on, my player pick for the round, other than Haaland, is Leroy Sané for Bayern Munich. He's my must-have for this round. I've just had a comment come in from FPL. Poseidon, welcome to the stream. Great to have you here. And thanks for the comment. I really appreciate it. He has asked me, what do you think about Spurs reaching the maximum stage in the UCL? You know what? It's tough. When we were last in the UCL, that was this shirt actually. This was the last one that we wore in the Champions League. We obviously made the final. We did have a lot of luck on the way. It was kind of at the end of that Pochettino cycle. Do I think we can do it this season? How far can we get? It is very tough to say because Conte hasn't got the greatest record in the Champions League. Not sure why. I'm not sure how. I know he's made a Europa final with Inter, which they lost to Seville, I think it was, or Shakhtar. Might have been Seville by 2-1, I remember. I just feel with us, we always actually do okay in Europe. We've had a history of qualifying for Europe. You know, I know it was a long time ago, but Spurs did win 2 UEFA Cups back when the UEFA Cup, back when the old European Cup or the Champions League, as we know it, was only one team from each league qualified. So the UEFA Cup effectively had a cup winner, or we had the Cup Winners' Cup as well. But the UEFA Cup technically had the second and third sort of best teams. So it almost had a similar quality to the Champions League now. And Spurs always kind of had that European heritage. And then the 90s kind of came and Spurs dropped off the face of the earth. And then it's kind of been this last 10 or 15 years they've consistently been in Europe. And now we're back in the Champions League. But to answer your question, how far do I think we can go? We should qualify out of the group. There's no excuses to not qualify out of the group with the group that we've been given. So I definitely think, never say never, but I think we'll qualify out of the group. If we win the group, I think we can then make the quarterfinals. I think the quarterfinals is a realistic target. Any further than that, it's hard to say. I don't think there's as many extremely strong teams in Europe as what we might have had, maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago. But, there's still some teams that, if we were to be drawn against, we're going to need a lot of luck. We're going to need a lot to go our way. We're going to need, everyone on their game. So I'd say quarterfinals is realistic. Round of 16 to quarterfinals is probably where I think we might get. You've obviously got the likes of Bayern Munich, PSG, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Liverpool. If they hit form again, if they get through to the knockouts, it's a long way until, there's a long break until we start the knockouts again. So, I'm going to go with round of 16 / quarterfinal because I'll try to be a little bit optimistic about us. So we'll see. I think we're going to be a tough team to beat, but there's obviously teams that, have more quality than us. And how many players from Spurs do I have in my team? Well, right now, none. Right now, none. So actually, I'll share my team just one more time. If there's any viewers that have just joined. So if you ever look, this is my team pre-wildcard. So I am looking to wildcard, even though I did say just before in the stream, I might not need to wildcard this team because I've got Gonçalves in there. I've got Nkunku in there. I've got Lewandowski in there. Haaland, Benzema. I've got good options. But right now, actually, I've got Ben Davies. Sorry, I've got Ben Davies on my bench who is injured. So, I need to check on Royce because I do believe he's injured as well. So I have Ben Davies. If I wildcarded, or when I wildcard, and like I said, I think, like the topic says, is it time to wildcard? Yes, I think this is the perfect time to wildcard because of the game week 3 and 4 fixtures, especially if you've already used your limitless in match week 2. I'll definitely have Kane in there against Frankfurt. I'm not sure if I'll have Perisic. He looked a bit tired on the weekend against Arsenal. I thought Saka gave him the runaround. So I might not go there. I might go Dyer. You know what? I might go Dyer, and I might do it just based on set piece threat. He scored from a few headers this season. And set pieces are quite decisive in Europe, especially away games. So I might potentially go down that route. If I can afford it, Son, Kane, maybe. It could be a good one for Son on the counter attack. So I could end up with maybe 2 or 3. But away games in Europe are tough. So at the moment, 1, on the wild card, I think I could end up with at least one, maybe two. Can I see me having three? Possibly not, because there's a lot of other players I really want to have in my team for this game week. So, but look, that should wrap up the podcast. I'll quickly do a quick run through. I can do a quick run through of the mini league actually, for anyone that's tuning in or is going to tune in, and is in our UCL mini league. So it's the FPLMattDay UCL Fantasy League. And I will just share the screen again. And this is the mini league. So at the moment, we've got Yes We Cantona, Donny FPL on 205 points. Banda with 202 points. LA Rosso FC with 201 points. If you see your name on in this top sort of 10 teams here, or if you see your team name, you've got Harlem Globetrotters in there. Yeah, some pretty cool names. If you see yourself, say, in this top 20 here, we'll go with the top 20. There's a few joint 20, so yeah, we'll go with the top 20. Then yeah, give us a comment in the comments, even if you watch this video after it being live and on obviously on a pre-record. So yeah, if you've got any last minute questions, I'll give it another minute or so to get your questions in the comments on the YouTube here. And I can cover off anything you might have. If I don't get any more questions in the next 60 seconds, if you can please give this video a like, give the channel a subscribe. If you're watching this on pre-record, please just get your questions in the comments regardless, and I will get back to you and comment before deadline. And yeah, FPLMattDay on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me on there. Thanks everyone that's tuned in for tonight. Good luck for match week 3. I hope it goes well. Best of luck if you are on your wild card as well. And I will see you all in the next one.